Hey YouTube, what is up? I have already made a Satellarknight deck profile within the last few weeks, but I feel like because my format in my locals specifically is so Cosmos oriented, I've had to change my deck a little bit to better suit that format, and it's actually been working out for me. I've actually gotten higher in my locals than I usually do with this deck, so I figured I'd share it with you guys. And for my next deck profile, I think I'm going to do my revamped hero deck. I'll see how it works, though I gotta run it a little more first, so I figured I'd show it to you guys, and in case you want to play it, you know, a Satellarknight deck in your Cosmos heavy, Pendulum, Pepe, Magispector heavy, Odd Eyes Magician heavy locals, you're more than welcome to, because it does run rather well. I've actually beat Pepe quite a bit with this. So here we go. I run 2 Anukulai as opposed to running 3 as I did the last time. The reason I run 2 instead of 3 nowadays is because I had to make room for 2 Vega. And the reason I run 2 Vega is I've had my Vegas, Rhapsody, and Berserk banished, gotten rid of, and only having 1 Vega in the deck does really limit you, so I took 1 Anukulai out and put 1 Vega in. This made my deck a little more consistent, and the ability to have 2 Vegas, and just in case something happens to one of them, is a little more useful. The Anukulai, I'm still able to get those sweet Skybridge plays off, so I don't really feel the burn that much from taking it from 3 down to 2, and it still works really well. I do 3 Deneb and 3 Altair. You can't really run less than that in this deck. These are staples to this deck, that's pretty much it. No other way to describe it. Run it, you need 3 of each. There's no way getting around it. I do run 2 Max C as well, especially with this format, just because it's so Pendulum, Cosmos, Special Summon heavy. You can Max C, probably go plus 3 or 4 off a Cosmo player. Pendulum summons can go a little crazy because it's, 1 big special summon and then they can XYZ. So you can probably go plus 3 or 4 as well. And if your opponent can't OTK you, going plus 5 with the Max C is really, really useful, as it puts a lot of pressure on them. So if they know you're dropping the Max C, they might stall a turn to just burn your Max C, but then you get the advantage of not dying or taking any damage that turn. So it does come in handy. I also run 2 Honest just because Cosmos is so good at bringing out Dark Destroyers so fast that running 2 of these really, it's necessary for me, because all my monsters are pretty much light. If I can Honest, a Dark Destroyer is really good. The good thing about this is also that I know people run Honest in their decks as well, and when they use Honest on you, you can Honest them back. That's right, if you don't know that, you can Honest and just flip it back on them, which screws them over and makes them basically waste their Honest and take the damage they were going to give you. So in my opinion, it's really useful to run 2, just in case your Honest gets Honest, because then you could just flip another one. Anyway, new cards in my, trap card section are 2 Storming Mirror Forces. And the reason I run 2 Storming Mirror Forces as opposed to regular Mirror Forces is I feel that Mirror Forces are really easy to play around, like the regular Mirror Force. There are cards that can't be destroyed by battle. There are cards that, can't be destroyed, can't be sent to the graveyard, stuff like that. Storming Mirror Force plays around all that, especially with cards that can stick around and save themselves from destruction, because this doesn't destroy cards, it just sends them back to the hand. So this can get an Honor Arc out of your face and just pulls it up right away, which is really useful. This can get rid of a Beelzes, I think, because it can't be destroyed by battle. I'm not sure specifically if it's Beels or Beelzes, but it's really, really good against cards that can't be destroyed or sent to the graveyard, because it doesn't target or anything like that. It just sends straight to the hand, and it doesn't attempt to destroy them, so it gives you more plays. Now, the only thing is your opponent does, get cards back to their extra deck if it's an XYZ, but it does burn the materials, so if they use a Pendulum summon and they bring out XYZ monsters, you flip this, you basically stop their attack, their XYZ monster goes back to their extra deck, but then the materials go to the graveyard and can't be brought back as a Pendulum because it's being sent to the graveyard as material, so it doesn't go to the extra deck, which is really useful. And that's why I also like this, because if I'm going to be mirror forcing Pendulum monsters, they're going to be going to the graveyard, which is going to send them to the extra deck. So they're already going to come back anyway. If I put them in a hand, it makes no difference. And if I could put a whole bunch of cards into my opponent's hand and they have more than 7 at the end of their phase, they're going to have to ditch cards too. So it's another little bit that can just screw them over a tiny bit more, and it's a little more helpful. Especially if you could bounce a Dark Destroyer or something like that, it's really, really fun to do, because if you bounce a Dark Destroyer and your opponent can't, bring it back out, it screws them over. I run also 3 Satellarnova Alphas just because it stops any effect, monster, spell, or trap, and you go +1 from it. You do have to tribute a monster, but you get to draw one. If you tribute a Trevere, you could bring out an Altair. An Altair could bring out another card. You could bring out an Altair to a Deneb, and you basically draw 2 and then have 2 new monsters on the field and negate your opponent's effect. So this card is ridiculous. You need 3 in your deck, because if they're allowing me to run it at 3, I'm going to run 3. There's no reason to run it any less than that. I also run 2 Horn of Heavens. It's really good. It's basically great against everything that's an inherent summon or a normal summon, but there are those weird non-inherent summons. This can't stop that, I'm pretty sure. So it does, it does have its downfalls, but the fact that this can stop an entire pendulum summon at the cost of one of your monsters is really good. The fact that this can stop most special summons as long as they're pretty much inherent is really good. So I like to run 2 of them just because you can stop your opponent from going off, especially if you can negate an entire pendulum summon. It's pretty useful. I also run 3 time-space trap holes now because it's anti-cosmos and it's anti-pendulum. I wouldn't really use this on a pendulum summon unless it's like 2 monsters, because putting it back in the deck is useful. But if they're like 5 pendulum monster summons all at once, I'm not going to pay the 5k for that. I'd wait for them to XYZ summon and then shuffle the XYZ monster back into their extra deck and then just send the materials to the graveyard. That's a little more useful than sending pendulum monsters back to the deck is sending them to the graveyard. So I use this more on XYZ monsters and stuff like that, or if my opponent is bringing out Dark Destroyer or something like that. Time Space Trap Holes is useful, but it does have its limits because it's only from hand or extra deck, so you can't really stop like E-teleports, anything like that. So it's a little tougher, but the fact that you can pay 1,000 and to stop, a certain summon or something like that, it's really useful, and sending it back to the deck is a bit of a bonus in my opinion. I also run 3 Call of the Haunteds and 1 Oasis of Dragon Souls. I don't want to run more than that. I feel like if I were to run 3 Oasis of Dragon Souls and 3 Call of the Haunteds, it would make me brick a lot, because there have been times where I've drawn like these 3 or just 3 Call of the Haunteds, and if you draw 3 Call of the Haunteds early on and don't have a monster to bring back, that's really, really brick. So you don't want to do that to yourself. You want to have plays and you want to see Call of the Haunted, so running 4 cards that are basically going to bring cards back from the graveyard gives you 1 in 10 chance of drawing them in a 40 card deck, which is really good. So if you want to draw it, it's good to get 1 in every 10 cards to be a Call of the Haunted. It helps you out, but if you have 6, it gets a little bit more cloggy and it can give you brick opening hands, which is something you never want. I run 1 Vanity's Emptiness and 1 Solemn Warning. Solemn Warning I like, but the 2k does hurt a little bit. Vanity's Emptiness can screw you over too if you're not careful with it. Anyway, I run 3 MSTs because there is a lot of, I guess, hate for the Cosmos these days, as I've been, throwing down pretty big amount of hate already myself. But yeah, being that there's a lot of hate for Cosmos, there's going to be a lot of Light Imprisoning Mirrors, and that's going to stop us as well. So running 3 Mystical Space Typhoon just to stop those Light Imprisoning Mirrors helps a lot. I also run 3 Satellarknight Sky Bridges because this is the Swiss Army knife of the deck. Satellarknights can already bring out cards pretty fast, but this just speeds up the process, and it's really, really good too because you could do it on your opponent's turn if you set the card. So you can just switch cards out, switch cards out, switch cards out, and it's really, really useful. I explained some combos early on, I'm not going to explain it again, but this just lets you get so many cards out so fast. It's ridiculous. I run 1 Rhoda because that's all I'm allowed to run. If I could run 3, I would, but being that it's at 1 for this format, that's why I'm running 1. I run also 1 Book of Moon, 1 Raigeki, and 1 Instafusion. Instafusion I only run 1 because I only have 1 Norden. Raigeki I love. This is an old Legend of Blue Eyes, I think, pack Raigeki. I wish I didn't fuck it up as a kid by playing without a sleeve. For the extra deck, here is a Tellarknight Ptolemaeus and a Constellar Diamond. I'm thinking about taking Diamond out to put in a Pallades. Diamond isn't that useful anymore for this format. He was really good, I guess, when Shadal's was around, but now that Shadal's is gone, he ain't that useful anymore. Diamond is okay at stopping Wicked Witch and Dark Destroyer if they activate their effects, but no one's really that stupid to try and activate their effects while he's on the field. So he just kind of, blocks up a spot for you, really. And 2700 can't hit over Dark Destroyer, so it kind of sucks. But yeah, so I might, switch him out for Cyber Dragon Infinity once the next pack drops. But for now, he's staying in. I'm probably going to switch him out eventually, though. I do have 2 Treveres and a Deltaros. The reason I run 2 Treveres and 1 Deltaros is because Trevere is ridiculous. It is great. You can switch out so much stuff with Trevere. It's basically a Storming Mirror Force for the entire side of your opponent's field, which is really good. And that's another thing too. If you Storming Mirror Force and then Trevere your opponent, they're going to hate you. They're going to hate you so much because you're just going to keep sending things back to their hand, back to their hand, back to their hand, stopping all their plays. It's really fun to do that. It's kind of trolly, but sending cards back to the hand is the biggest way to screw people over in Yu-Gi-Oh! In my opinion. Deltaros right here, he's good because you can use the Instant Fusion to bring him out. So if you are stuck in a place and you have 1 Satellarknight on the field and you open an Instant Fusion, you can Norden into any other 4-star monster in your graveyard, bring out Deltaros, and go from there. He's good because he could pop and he stops. You can't stop his summon. So he helps protect you, especially if you want to summon other monsters. It's good to bring out Deltaros first because then your opponent can't do anything on the summon, which most people do, as I run 3 Time Space, any Horn of Heaven. So, if my opponent had a Deltaros out, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I'm glad I have the ability to run it, and everyone else does too, really, because it's not really specific. It's just 3 level 4-star monsters. but it's really good in a Satellarknight deck just because it can bring out more Satellarknights from the deck once it dies as well, and you could pop him yourself if you wanted to, but that combo doesn't work out as well as I wish it would. I also run one Norden, like I said before, because I only have one Insta-Fusion, one Gaga Cowboy, and one Daigusto Emerald. I run one Heroic Champion Excalibur, just because most Satellarknights are, you know, I'm pretty sure all of them are actually warrior monsters, so why not run the ability to bring out a 4K beat stick early on. Bujin Tsukiyomi, just in case I get a brick hand and I want to recycle. You could ditch one card and draw two pretty much, and that's really useful in this deck. One Castel, one Arna Arc, and one Kieran Gorgon. So he could change the target pretty much on any card that's being targeted, as long as it targets only one card specifically. Arna Arc is good for bringing out, just getting rid of special summon monsters your opponent has. I'm pretty sure you could take Dark Destroyer with it. And Castel's good just because it shuffles shit back into the deck, just like a Time Space. So he's really, really good. Castel's a little more useful than Time Space though, because, you know, it's not just monsters. Anyway, I also run one Ragnaminiad, because if you could 5-stack XYZ summon him, or even 4-stack XYZ summon him, you pretty much have game. If you could 5-stack him though, that's even better, because when you blow your opponent's field up, they can't summon for the next, I think, 2 turns, so attacking for 6k directly pretty much screws them over. He's unaffected by traps, spells, he has 3k attack, it's ridiculous. I've won against Satellarknights more with this one card than any other card. And speaking of hating Satellarknights, I run this bad boy, the Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. They hate when you open up that Cyber Dragon, and the fact that, you know, if my opponent does somehow get rid of my Cyber Dragon, I run Call the Haunted, so I could just bring out another Cyber Dragon with Call the Haunted. It's really, really good. You could do just so much, and he's so useful. It's not even funny. And being that, you know, obviously I run the Fortress Dragon, but I don't have Cyber Dragons, you can guess where they are. They're going to be in my extra deck, as well as 3 Imperial Iron Walls, because I hate Cosmos. 2 Cyber Dragon, because I hate Cosmos. It's just, my entire side deck is almost entirely Cosmos, just because like 8 out of the 12 people at my locals would run Cosmos. There's 3 other people besides me that don't run Cosmos, and everyone else runs Cosmos. So it sucks. Thunder King Ryo, he's okay. He does hurt Satellas a little bit, so to have him, you know, don't bring him out unless you know what you're doing. And then 2 Trap Stun, just in case the opponent has something like a skill drain on the field. It could just, you know, it'll screw you over. So Trap Stun's useful. In case they open a Light Imprisoning Mirror too, you don't want that really going off. I run one Retaliating Sea, just in case. It's more of a tech than anything else, but it's not that useful. I'm thinking of switching it out. I just haven't found a good replacement yet, so I'm keeping it in for now. I also run 2 Stygian Dirge, just in case I'm running against anybody that would XYZ summon. This stops them really, really well. And it's hard for Magispectors, I found, not Magispectors, Pepe to get over it, unless they run like a lot of MSTs or cards that pop cards like Archfiend Eccentric. So yeah, it's really good, especially against anybody that XYZ summons. I run 2 Chaos Trap Hole as well, just to stop anything that's light or dark, which is pretty much Cosmos. So yeah, more Cosmos hate in the side deck. And then I run 2 Fairy Winds, because I know a lot of Cosmos love to run Skill Drain and just screw me over. So Fairy Winds just stops that. It also stops the Light Imprisoning Mirrors, and it does damage to both me and my opponent. And with that, I'd like to say thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to be doing a hero deck profile soon. I just got to get the hero deck a little better, a little more consistent to where I want it, and then I'll show you guys it. So, once again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to click subscribe if you like the video, because it's free, it's fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.